is ContraZoom,
where we go back and forth about film.
I'm Dakota Arsenault.
And I'm Rachel Ho.
The Oscars have quite literally ended less than a half an hour ago at the time of this recording, and we are here now to sort of recap some of our thoughts on the ceremony, the winners and losers, how it all went, a few bets that may have been going on during all of this, all that fun and exciting stuff. I'm pretty amped right now. Rachel, how are you feeling? I know you're in a very different time zone than the rest of us. How are you feeling?
Not great. I mean, I definitely didn't do so hot with my predictions on our show or on Exclaim, so that's always good. Didn't do great. But yeah, I actually didn't get to watch the ceremony because the few channels my hotel has is not carrying anything about the Oscars, which I find amusing and great. But all day, Shohei Ohtani, so I'm fine with it. It's cool.
Hey, there are sometimes more important things in life, and sometimes that's the World Baseball Classic.
Listen, you walk around Tokyo, and his face is everywhere. It's just incredible.
Not surprised. But joining us today is our good friend Todd Pengelly. Todd has been on the show before. You know him from For Real. One of the best follows on Twitter. Todd, thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight.
Yeah, of course. I don't know if I'm one of the best follows on Twitter. I mean,
you're really fun on Twitter.
You are. You know why you are fun?
You're going to start adding more and more things, like winner of World Baseball Classic. Just you're going to have to keep adding things. We go that far.
No, the reason you're a good follow, Todd, is because anytime somebody will say something nice about All Quiet on the Western Front, you're always there to be like, hell yeah. And I'm like, yeah, go Todd.
I was getting scared tonight. I was like, my love for it is never ending, but I was also like, is it gonna do it? There's a solid like half hour. It looks like it's gonna do it.
I know. It was really exciting for a second there, wasn't it? But then, yeah, but it's fine. It's still the best movie of the year, so there's no problem.
Yes. People would know that if they also checked out an article that I finally published today, Rachel, of if you and I were Oscar voters. By now, this would be yesterday, Oscar Sunday, this came out. So hopefully people still want to check this out. And maybe next year I'll get it up in a more adequate amount of time.
I usually have to apologize because I'm probably usually the delay on these things. But this time, not on Rachel, all on Dakota, all on
Well,
you.
I mean, there were
Was it on
a few
me?
days. It was on both of us. We'll put it that way.
I'm trying to think no, it wasn't because you still weren't done when I was because to be fair, there were days that I completely forgot about it. Like it just slipped my mind.
That's a little behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, let's talk about the Oscars. Everything Everywhere All at Once was the big winner of the night. It won 7 Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Directors, I guess you should say it, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, and Best Supporting Actress, among others. Are we happy with the Everything Everywhere almost complete sweep? How are we feeling, Todd? What are your thoughts?
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm very happy. It was my favorite film of the year, it was my favorite film of the year. And then, backtrack to 11 months ago when I saw it in theaters. I would have never thought we would be sitting here now in March of 2023 talking about it winning 7 Oscars, being the best picture. Pretty much a sweep, definitely an above the line sweep. Like that would have astounded me 11 months ago because it's not that kind of movie. Like it's not the 7-time Oscar winner kind of movie. And so I'm very happy. I also think it signals a really cool direction for the Academy.
What about you, Rachel? Are you satisfied even though you had all your eggs in the All Quiet basket?
Well, I didn't have it in the All Quiet basket. I had it in the Elvis basket. I don't know.
For betting purposes, yes, but
yes. My heart was with All Quiet, though. Yes, yeah. It was with All Quiet. Yeah, I mean, I think I very much so echo what Todd said. Like, no one, and the Daniels are included in this as well. I've read enough of their interviews to know they never thought they would be here. Like, it's a movie about hot dog fingers, or not about it, but it's got like hot dog fingers and butt plugs. Like, that's not an Oscar movie. And yet it not only got nominated and like picked up a couple awards, it did really, really well. And I think that this combined with, say, the Parasite win before, and even the Coda win last year, I think it does show that there is a shift in the Academy, and that whatever they've been doing behind the scenes to, how should we say, diversify, I guess, the voting bodies, I think it's working. Like, it's just showing at least that there is more variation amongst theater goers as they were. So yeah, I'm happy about it though, even if I lost all my I lost, and I hate losing.
You did, yes.
You lost, but All Quiet is now the most winning Netflix movie ever. So
yeah, what does that mean though, Todd? What does that really mean though? Like,
well,
Netflix?
I'm saying maybe it signals a shift back towards Netflix. So when they let him make his sequel, All Quiet on the World War II front, I don't really know what the World War II version of it would be, considering it is a World War I movie. But when they let him do that for Netflix, then maybe it wins Best Picture, because it's moving in Netflix's direction.
I like how
on Omaha Beach.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's just Saving Private Ryan.
You would think, though, if we're going to do a World War II movie from a German director, I think you got to stay in Germany. No? Something happened in Germany during World War II, you guys. I feel like it should stay there.
Is there a large audience demand for more World War II movies from the German perspective?
Oh, I thought you were going to say, is there enough? Is there enough content really there to fill World War II movies set in Germany? I don't know. From a German perspective.
I mean, they made The Hobbit they made The Hobbit into 4 movies, so I think it's probably possible.
If they do a sequel and they don't include the producer's song "Springtime for Hitler," what was even the point?
Yeah.
Yep. You invoked the man's name, and there you go. Todd and I were holding back on that one. We were just sitting back on that.
Oh, come on. I'm also very happy. Obviously, my wishes were in the Tar basket, and Tar went home empty-handed, so I'm a little crushed at that. But I'm still there was this year. Some years there's maybe 1 or 2 movies I'd be happy winning Best Picture. This year, legitimately, there was 5 or 6 where I'm I would be cool if any of these movies ended up winning Best Picture, and I think it would be a good pick. And obviously Everything Everywhere is right up there for me. It was a fantastic movie, and I'm really happy that it did end up winning. And it's crazy that if Ke Huy Quan had won for Best Actor instead of Supporting Actor, obviously different categories and stuff like that, this would be, I believe, the 4th movie to win do a full above the line sweep, which would be absolutely incredible. And the fact that I've got the 2 supporting actor nominated wins sort of really cements its legacy as one of the all-time great winning films.
Yeah, I think it would have been the first movie since Silence of the Lambs to win the Big 5. And I do think that winning 2 supporting performances should essentially count as that, right? Yeah. Unnominated Best Actor. So it does feel like it did kind of win the Big 5 tonight, even though it technically didn't.
And I would say too, you Silence of the Lambs is an interesting movie to kind of compare it to, because that movie is not, even though I think maybe looking back we think it's a very Oscar-y movie because of how revered it is, but it is a horror movie. Yeah. But it's a horror movie, and those aren't the type of movies that, typically speaking, especially back then, that the Oscars were awarding. So, I mean, I say back then, even now, horror movies don't really get their moment. So it's kind of interesting that the 2 movies that have done this, with a bit of an asterisk on Everything Everywhere, are genre movies that you wouldn't normally think have a shot at doing that. So, food for thought.
Yeah, because it would join the club of also Silence of the Lambs, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and It Happened One Night are the only movies to do a top 5 sweep.
Certified bangers. All of those are
absolutely right.
Bangers.
Just not to bring too much Zoomer talk into the podcast, but all of those are certified bangers.
Yeah. Certified banger. They all slap. They're all great. It's excellent.
That's what happens when Frank Capra was thinking when he made that film. He was like, this is going to be the first banger to get certified by the Academy.
When he called cut on the film, he's like, and that's a wrap. This movie slaps, you guys. Let's do this.
All right, let's talk a little bit about All Quiet. There was, we alluded to this. There was a moment where it kind of looked like, oh, maybe if it wins
Maybe.
adapted screenplay, then it might be the Best Picture winner because the first half of the show of the Oscars, it seemed to be winning almost every award it was nominated for. It was absolutely incredible. The fact that we kind of figured cinematography, it was a bit of a weaker year in my opinion. But the real shock was obviously for Best Original Score, which it seemed to be Babylon's in the bag to lose basically. And yeah, they did. And my sort of theory with Babylon is I think voters did not want to honor a movie that flop so hard at the box office. And that was a bit of my fear when I was filling out my ballot, being like, oh, Babylon again. Oh, am I really picking Babylon for the third time on my ballot? Ooh, is this going to go my way, or are the Oscars going to be like, no, we don't want to honor it? It sort of seemed like that's what it was. And All Quiet was the beneficiary of the love there.
Boo.
It sucks for Babylon, like, because the movie is not nearly as bad as people are thinking it is or making it out to be.
It's great,
but it lost all the money. Like, this was a $200 million movie.
It did, yeah.
Made like $10 million at the box office.
I don't know if though the Oscars have necessarily followed box office though. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's more of there just wasn't a general love for the movie from anyone. It seemed like that's kind of the funny thing to me about Babylon was that maybe it doesn't pick up any steam at the box office. It is a very niche movie for, I hate using this term, but like the general public to go and watch. I get that it's a hard ask because it's long. It's not necessarily about like a super sexy topic to a lot of people, even though it's a super sexy movie. But the fact is that critically it didn't do hot. And then when it hit the award circuit, even before this, it just didn't land. Like it just didn't seem like voters cared that much about this movie. So on all fronts, it just lost, which to me was really, really surprising. I thought that if it didn't do well at box office, at minimum, it would do well in the awards. And then it clearly did not. And then my guy, Justin Hurwitz, didn't pull this one out, which is too bad. But saying that, All Quiet score is amazing, though. Like I don't know if there's a more fitting score to a World War I movie I've ever heard. Like, it's modern and yet old at the same time. Like, it's perfect. So I can't, even though I thought Justin Hurwitz was going to win, and I thought he deserved to win, I can't really fault All Quiet for winning either, because that's an excellent pick. Because it's an excellent movie. It's the best movie of the year. That's why.
It is an excellent movie, and I wrote today in a piece about my Oscar predictions and like my ballot, which somehow published after Dakota published. So basically, I published it like halfway through the ceremony, and I wrote that All Quiet score would or should, I can't really remember which verbiage I used, win in any other year, really. Which ironic now, but it just felt like, yeah, exactly. It felt like if you played Voodoo Mama in the ears of every Oscar voter, it's like, how does Justin Hurwitz lose that score nomination? It feels like it should have been maybe the only thing Babylon definitely would have come away with, regardless of how the movie performed. So I felt that I was just baffled when it lost, because there's a lot of love for Justin Hurwitz too in the Academy. I mean,
yeah.
La La Land almost won Best Picture in no small part because of the work that Justin did, obviously, in creating the music for that film. So, kind of baffling.
Yeah, I will say, for All Quiet, I loved the fact that every time they won an award, they played a piece of the music, that ominous like 3-note motif. And it seems so badass, like especially when they were going up to win to collect Best International Pictures, go to and they're like slowly walking up the stairs. It was pretty cool. I like that.
That's the thing with that score though that's amazing about it, is like, because of that, I mean, I'm not great with the music stuff, but like it's like the electric excuse me, the electric guitar riff. It sounds like such a great hype up music, like a good walk up music. If you're, playing baseball or something, like that's a good walk up song to have, or a little riff to have. But at the same time, it's like incredibly scary and terrifying in the context that they're using it in. So I like that the score is so dynamic in that sense. I hate using that word, but it is dynamic in that sense. So I guess it's a great score, and I'm very happy for them. I am disappointed for Justin Hurwitz, because I'm pretty sure he probably thought he was going to win because we all thought he was going to win.
He's got 2 Oscars already.
Yeah, it's true. He's doing fine.
If Germany had qualified for the World Baseball Classic, would you be petitioning them to use that as their walk-up music?
Probably not. No, I feel like it's slightly inappropriate. Just a little bit inappropriate for that to be their music.
Come on, can you imagine? Shohei is pitching, and no, he's
you want to bring Japan into this, do you? Like, is that really what you want to do?
And
they going crazy.
And they bring out the reliever, and they start playing that, and that's like the Enter the Sandman closer music, basically. I'm getting real niche here with this podcast.
Yes, you are. Yes, you really are. How many baseball fans are out there?
Yeah, it's like, how few people can we appeal to? We've already cornered the market because we're like, you know what movie is good? Babylon. Which turns off like 99% of all listeners.
And then I'm talking about Mariano Rivero's walkout music. Great, all right.
Who retired how many years ago now? He's gone. He's been done for a while.
I think he's in the Hall of Fame now. So
he is in the Hall of Fame. Oh, he got inducted like a year or two ago? No, more than that, actually.
Topical. Yep.
It's been a minute though.
The only other movie other than Everything Everywhere and All Quiet to win multiple awards was The Whale, which won for Best Actor and Best Hair and Makeup. Do I touch this subject, or do we just move on?
No, I'm going to say something here.
Okay, say it.
Okay. With hair and makeup specifically, no knock on Brendan Fraser. I think that his performance was great. Like, I think everyone kind of figured it's a toss-up between him and Austin Butler. Like, it was literally a 50-50 between the two, I think. So that's fine. The hair and makeup thing, though. So after, I know maybe I'm a bit biased being a sore loser with this Elvis situation, but Callum from Scared Traducing, he commented on a post on Instagram being like, yes, like Elvis is it. Like, that's the one. He agreed with me. And then he messages me later and was like, I think I might have jinxed you on that. I was like, yeah, I think you did, buddy. But I said to him, like, how does it not win hair and makeup at a minimum? How did Elvis not win hair and makeup? And he goes, yeah, because The Whale is basically putting Brendan Fraser in a fat suit, which we have seen so many times now across films and television. This has been done. And yes, it was done really well, to be fair. Like in The Whale, it's done very, very well, not to diminish the work of the people who did it. But it's not like anything particularly new. You know, and I don't really get, and you can maybe argue with me that it's not particularly new costume, or, you know, putting people up in makeup and hair in the 50s and like Elvis, but like, I'm just saying, I don't know, I don't get it personally. I think if we're going to go the prosthetic route, then give it to the Batman.
Yeah.
On The Whale, I won't touch makeup and hair here, but I will say, 2 things about Brendan winning. One, I'm very happy for him as a person. Just it seems like he really deserves it, and I'm happy that he's back in our lives in some capacity, in outsized role capacity, maybe. The other thing I'll say here, and this is kind of like the grand finale of your A24 series, Dakota, is, as far as I'm aware, this is the first time any studio has ever won all 4 acting categories at the Oscars.
Oh wow!
Yeah, wild. I can't believe it.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, because I think...
Well done, A24.
I think there's been a couple times where a movie has won 3 acting wins. I don't have any off the top of my head, like the stats for the above the line sweeps. But yeah, the fact that it was only 2 movies that won the 4 awards. It was pretty crazy, and the fact that it was all A24 is incredible, and is really going to make our A24 retrospective on these movies really interesting. And it's sort of funny. I've already gotten several people that have messaged me and asked to be on the Everything Everywhere episode. In fact, I don't know what to do for that one, so we might have to have a bit of an auction to figure out who's going to be our guest on that episode. Rachel,
a multiverse episode, just like everybody.
Oh,
just record it like 8 different times, and then just splice them together.
Oh my God, that sounds like a nightmare for me to edit it, but I might have to figure something out.
You have a lot of time. You have a lot of time to figure it out.
I do. I really do. All right, and then so we've got our other winners. There was no real surprises with Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio winning animated, Navalny winning best documentary, Top Gun was sound. I was actually pretty surprised that Black Panther won for costumes, only because they won for the first film, and like more or less, they're kind of doing the same stuff. So I was very surprised that they awarded the same franchise 2 costume awards. Were either of you sort of surprised by that?
Yes, because Elvis probably should have taken it. I'm just saying. Just saying.
That too, yes.
I had a theory that was pretty quickly disproven by the aforementioned whale, but I had a theory that if they gave costumes to Elvis, they were going to give makeup and hairstyling to Wakanda Forever, and vice versa. And so I predicted Black Panther would win costumes, mostly because there's a lot of love for Ruth Carter, the costume designer who also won for Black Panther. And so there's a lot of love for her. And so I predicted that if they win there, Elvis would win in hair and makeup. Obviously, that didn't happen. But I thought it was only going to win one of those 2 categories, and I just happened to pick it correctly. I don't think it should have. I do think, actually, that the costumes in that movie are significantly worse than they are in the first Black Panther film, and also worse than a lot of the other nominees. But so it goes.
Yeah. I'll put my Elvis stuff aside. Like, I actually completely agree with you guys. I think, especially on your point, Dakota, of the fact that they already awarded her for that franchise, and it's not like Wakanda Forever had anything particularly different or stand out about it that I would be like, oh, yeah, she deserves it again. Like, she kind of just did the same thing again. And to Todd's point, maybe not as well, actually. So it's interesting. And then, I mean, I'm jumping ahead here, but like the fact that, not to say that Wakanda Forever could only win 1 award, but the fact this was its only award, and, you know, Angela Bassett was right there. She was right there to win this, and I really wanted her to win. And I loved her facial expression, that she didn't try to do the it's fine. Like, they deserved it. She was more of like, I probably should have won this, shouldn't I? And I respect that. I respect that from Angela Bassett.
And then no surprise about Avatar winning visual effects, even though Rachel knows how much I despised having to name that as the best visual effects of the year. Happy for Top Gun getting sound. I wondered if maybe that was going to lose to a different film, to All Quiet. I actually really thought that when All Quiet was sweeping, I was like, man, they could actually maybe pick up best sound from Top Gun here, but they didn't. Top Gun did end up winning. Yeah. I think the last winners I want to talk about is Women Talking, Sarah Polley, Toronto native, getting up there. That was pretty fantastic seeing her win, and loved her speech, and was very happy that that Women Talking won an award. And then, of course, RR maybe had like the moment I think everyone was really most looking forward to, was seeing them win. We'll talk about all the musical performances in a little bit. How did you feel about those 2 wins there, Rachel?
I mean, kind of not very surprising. They've basically followed the Writers Guild award wins for that. So, and I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of Women Talking, but really happy to see Sarah Polley get that award, because she's got, these shouldn't be legacy awards, these shouldn't be career awards, but like, she's got a really good body of work that hasn't always been, or I mean, she's pretty well recognized, I think, within the industry. But yeah, I think they're both very unsurprising wins, but I think they're both unsurprising for a reason, because they're quite deserving of it.
Nice. And what about you, Tom?
I was very happy with Sarah Polley. I texted pretty much everyone that cares about the Oscars. I was like, she's Canadian, because if I
didn't get a text, Todd.
Well, I knew you were on a different time zone.
Did you?
And that I was going to be talking to you later.
I'll be honest, I didn't know I was going to be talking to you later. So
did you not?
Yeah, Rachel.
I had no idea. I like go in and I see Todd. I was like, Todd's here.
That's such a nightmare to I can't imagine hosting a podcast and logging into my podcast to find me just in the room already. But I was very happy. I told everyone she's Canadian because it actually, I know that, y'all are Canadian. I am a Canadian immigrant, so you don't know, but when you get your permanent residency in the letter, they say you have to point out any Canadian that wins an Academy Award.
Mhm.
So I was just like instantly like on my phone making sure everyone knew she's Canadian. And I do think that was the best adapted screenplay as well. Like I do think that was the best written thing of those 5 nominees.
I loved it when she was giving her speech and pointed out, asked everyone that was there that worked on the film to stand up to see, so everyone in the crowd could see them. And one of them was Sheila McCarthy, my former acting teacher, and so that was really cool that she was there in the crowd, and she was so happy and excited. So that just made my night that Sheila McCarthy was there, who is one of the actors in Women Talking, as I've now said so.
I didn't know that she did that. Yeah, you have mentioned that a few times. I wasn't going to say that, but you brought it up. You have mentioned it. I think every single time Women Talking gets brought up, it's, hey, did you know that
I have to.
Sheila McCarthy is... what I was going to say was so as I said, I didn't watch the ceremony, so I didn't know that happened. But that's really cool. That's really cool of her to have done that, because I think one thing sometimes with these awards that gets a bit lost is like there's only a few faces that we see associated with a movie. And so recognizing that it takes literally a village of people to put on a movie sometimes. Not all the time, but most of the time it takes a ton of people to put them together. So it's nice that she took the time out to give it a little shout out. Good old Canadian girl.
One thing I really want to highlight, and Rachel, you're probably not going to be able to comment on this, but I was texting with friend of the show, Sammy, and one of the things that both he and I noticed was the pace of the show felt very smooth. I was very happy with how it went. Now, mind you, I was a little intoxicated while watching it, but it seemed like the order was very concise. They had people presenting multiple awards at a time. The music sequences didn't seem to completely disrupt the show. The in memoriam was kept at a nice tight length. All of it seemed to flow pretty smoothly. Would you sort of agree with that, Todd, or what are your thoughts on the way the actual show was produced?
Yeah, no, I thought, well, it felt kind of like the first normal Oscars since
Before
I guess
COVID?
the Parasite Oscars. Yeah, I mean since COVID, right? And Parasite won, well, it felt like I guess mere minutes before COVID began. So there's only been a couple of ceremonies since then, but obviously the COVID Oscars were very thrown off. And then last year, because of some, I guess, extracurricular activities, stuff was still thrown off more. But yeah, it felt like a normal kind of pace. I also felt like the speeches were like naturally rather short. It didn't feel like a lot of people were getting played off. It didn't happen very often. It did happen when there would be people, like 2 people winning an award, and the first person would finish speaking before the second one got to the microphone, the band would start playing. But it didn't feel like there was anyone who got up there and just spoke for like 10 minutes straight, like Joaquin Phoenix did a couple years ago, notably about veganism. And so I don't know, like I felt like that definitely helped the pace. I also think that while every host has a few misses because it comes with the business, I thought Jimmy Kimmel was like rather good tonight and didn't do any stupid bits that really killed the momentum of the show. Had a couple good one-liners and then just kept it moving. And so I'm kind of pro just letting Kimmel host it until he says he's done, or until I don't know, someone gets assaulted or there's a good reason to remove him.
I would probably put Kimmel, give him like a solid B to B plus. Like he wasn't amazing, but like he didn't really screw anything up. I didn't like the audience interaction bit that he did, where it was like asking the fake questions. That was the only kind of like really cringy moment where you're just like, okay, let's keep it going here. He had a couple jokes that I felt didn't really land, but I think he probably had better accuracy with his jokes this year than when he previously hosted.
I agree.
So like I don't know what to say. Like I think he did pretty respectable, all things considered. I know it's the most difficult job to do because you're never going to please everyone or anyone for that matter. And he mostly did a pretty okay job, which is basically all you can really ask for an Oscar host these days.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think that them kind of defaulting to letting the other presenters of awards do like their own 2 minute bits, like at most, actually worked really
Yeah.
well because I do think the gimmicky things never work in these award shows, including going to the audience, which was like kind of, I think, his biggest miss of the night. And also happened to be like Hassan Minaj's biggest miss at the Film Independent Spirit Awards. Like that stuff never works. But letting Elizabeth Banks get up there and talk for 3 minutes with with a person in a giant bear suit next to her, just doing cocaine bear jokes for like 3 minutes. Like that was fine. And it didn't I thought it was funny and about as much of like a gag that I would want in a show. And so like yeah, I think a B plus is actually much closer to an A plus when it comes to hosting like a 4 hour award show than we probably give it credit for. Because it's no one's Billy Crystal anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, we don't have Billy Crystal. I know none of us were ever around for Bob Hope, but like there's nothing like that. What did you think of the Little Mermaid propaganda?
Wait, what? Can someone recap this for me?
Yeah, Rachel, speak on it. Go.
Yeah,
I know you were watching adamantly.
Little Mermaid propaganda. No. So for Rachel, who does not know, obviously the Oscars are produced by ABC. Disney owns ABC, and they specifically took time out of the ceremony to have a special preview trailer of the new Little Mermaid the new Little Mermaid movie. And it just felt very weird. I thought when they said that during the Oscars they're going to have the exclusive premiere of the new Little Mermaid trailer, I thought that meant during a commercial break, and it wasn't. And that was weird to me. Todd?
Yeah, no, awful. Just terrible. The movie looks terrible. I hope you guys give it like at least 6 or 7 episodes, just like an extensive breakdown. But it looks god awful. And I have to say later, and I could be wrong about this, but during the in memoriam, I guess noticed isn't a fair thing to say. Didn't notice. I don't think Charles B. Dean, the lead actress from Triangle of Sadness, was in the in memoriam. No. Yeah, what happened there? It's like a huge loss for a Best Picture nominee. And I just can't believe that if that was like a time, either it was an oversight or someone was trying to cut time, which I would hope to believe it's an oversight and they weren't like, we'll get rid of Charles B. Dean out of the in memoriam. But regardless, they should like retcon this Oscars, go back and add the people they missed in the in memoriam and get rid of the Little Mermaid propaganda, which is going to try really hard to convince us that this movie is worth seeing. And every time I see something for it, I'm like, I'm not seeing that movie.
Yeah, the missing Charles B. Dean is huge. Normally, I'm not a fan of when people complain, they're like, oh, they missed so-and-so for the in memoriam. I'm like, well, it's a 2.5, 3-minute thing, and there's probably like 200 people that unfortunately passed away that, were high-level involvement in movies and Hollywood and stuff like that, and we can't have them all fit in. But like the fact that, it was someone who was in a Best Picture nominee this year was pretty surprising.
Yeah. And like, she's really good in it too. It's not like a bit part. She's like the lead actress and she's very good in it. And otherwise, I mean, I have no qualms with the in memoriam. Like a weird thing to have qualms with. I thought John Travolta's
qualms with
Rachel, relax.
I really have an issue with this in memoriam. I'd like to talk about this for the next 45 minutes. The most
problematic part of this Oscar ceremony is I thought Travolta's intro, it got me teary-eyed. I thought it was excellent. And then, of course,
he introduced it.
He introduces it, and the first name they put up there is Olivia Newton-John, and it was just a real, like, sucker punch.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he was really emotional.
Sorry, when did Kelly Preston pass away?
It was several years ago.
You're now looking at the in memoriam?
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I thought it was very recent. Oh, okay. Oh. Moving on. Sorry.
Sorry. Another part of the show, the musical performances. We unfortunately had to suffer through a really awkward Diane Warren performance for a terrible movie that I watched a couple days ago, and holy crap, I wish I could have that time of my life back. Have you seen Tell It Like a Woman, Todd?
So this is where I out myself 35 minutes into this recording for like cheating, which is I watched every nominated movie except for Tell It Like a Woman, but I did listen to the song before doing the song category, which I feel like is the only thing that matters, considering most of these are end credit music anyway.
This one surprisingly takes place in the movie.
Well, then I got to watch it. Yeah, I'm going to log off and throw on Tell It Like a Woman.
Yeah. What did you think of that performance, though?
No, not good. I actually didn't think really any of the Naatu performance. I thought was excellent, but I thought the Lady Gaga one was fine. I thought the Rihanna one was fine. The Diane Warren one wasn't very good, and then I'm blinking the fifth one. It was the first one performed, which is probably why I'm blinking it. I don't know. I still don't think that the live there have been very few live performances in the history of the Academy Awards that I've watched, and I've been like, that's really worth the 5 minutes we're doing for it. And
what's one that you like that you can think of? First one that you can think of.
Didn't Gaga and Bradley Cooper perform together?
That's the very first one I thought of too when you said that. I really love that performance. It's a good one.
She kind of went like A Star Is Born Tonight. She took off her like dress and she put on like a t-shirt and Converse.
Okay.
And then performed and then got back in her dress and went back to the audience.
Did she let me ask you this. Did she take her makeup off? Like, was it the same makeup?
So I might have noticed a blemish, which would make me think that she did have like a makeup wipe on hand.
Interesting.
I'm not totally sure. She was definitely wearing less lipstick in the performance than she was on the red carpet.
Because I saw her picture on the red carpet, and her makeup was exquisite. So I was wondering if she kept that.
She must have taken the makeup off, or at least a good portion of it.
Yeah, I think she did.
It was very interesting though, because it was this very almost an acoustic type of ballad where it was just like a very quiet piano and guitar going, and it was just her sort of belting it. The way it was filmed was very awkwardly, like extreme close-ups of just her face, and you couldn't see the rest of the band for almost the whole show. And so when she like stood up, she like was awkwardly not in frame for a bit, and they like the camera person kept trying to zoom in on their face, even Lady Gaga's face, even though she was like moving around, and so often it wasn't what we were supposed to be seeing. It was a very weird framing device, and I didn't like it, even if she gave a pretty incredible vocal performance.
Yeah,
that's expected,
it was weird,
isn't it? She's fantastic. She's a great singer. Well, for you guys, what was your favorite performance? Like, if I only could go back and watch one now, I will watch them all. But like, which one did you guys love the most?
Definitely the RRR one.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty fantastic. Yeah. They basically recreated the entire scene from the number that they do. The only thing that was a little weird to me, I don't know if it was weird to you, Todd, was the fact that the two main dancers that they use, they clearly cast them and dressed them to look like the actors in the movie, even though they weren't the actors from the movie. Did you find that weird?
Yeah, I did find it weird. I also thought that it was kind of strange that in recreating, because I've listened to the song a million times now, just like on like Spotify or, just in my ears, and not watching the scene. And so the kind of back and forthness they have with the white colonizer is removed from like the soundtrack version of it, right? But then in recreating the scene, they're doing all that same movement, but they still just remove that part of it. And so it makes I thought that was like it just stood out to me. It jumped out. But yeah, I thought it was the best performance by quite a large margin and still didn't live up anywhere close to the in-movie version of it, which just speaks volumes to that song in that film. But yeah, I agree. That was the best performance.
I would also say that despite not really caring for This Is a Life from Everything Everywhere All at Once, I did enjoy the performance of that, mostly because of David Byrne's weirdness, which, every award show could use more David Byrne weirdness. So I was fine with that. He's wearing the hot dog fingers.
That's right. That's the one I was forgetting. Yeah. Stephanie Shu subbed in for Mitski tonight, Rachel.
Did she? I gotta go watch that. That should be the one that I go watch. What are you guys doing to me?
It's a really good one too. Yeah.
What's happening here? How is that coming up after when I'm asking which is the one? No, not the one Stephanie Shu performed in. No.
Well, and she's in like great. Watch Everything Everywhere costume. It's
I love
production
her.
design
I
on
love
that one's
deeply. I will watch all of them. Like that is fair.
Let me put it this way, Rachel. If you can contain yourself for 30 minutes of not watching Elvis videos, you can watch all of these performances.
We'll get there.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Will you?
We'll get there. Well, one day. One day.
Can we reveal what you were messaging me a couple days ago, or is that a no-no?
What was I messaging you?
When you were like, hey, I'm doing a CBC radio hit in 30 minutes. I should probably get up out of bed, but I'm currently watching Elvis videos in my hotel room.
Yeah, it's fine. I woke up. I was up in time for it. I did the hour. It was fine. Yes, so it's fine. Yeah.
Can you believe this, Todd? Like, she's insane.
If she can dream.
There you go. There you go, Todd. There you go.
All right. I feel like we should get into a little bit of housekeeping here as far as what our predictions went. Based on our predictions episode, I included the shorts. You did not. So my final tally was 18 out of 23. I went 3 for 3 with the shorts. I was absolutely thrilled for that.
Hey, so did I.
Oh, nice. Yeah, they seem sort of predictable, but at the same time, you never really know with the shorts, and you're just like, oh, it could be anything. I don't know how they're going to vote on this. And then Rachel went 12 for 20 because she didn't predict the 3 short categories. What was your ballot like, Todd?
I did predict the shorts. I went 16 of 23, and yeah.
Well, that's pretty good then. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good.
Rachel,
I don't know what I did last year, but I don't think it was that good last year.
Rachel, how are you feeling about your eventual picks, considering Elvis lost all 4 awards that you put down for it?
That's too bad. That's really too bad. I just had to putting the eggs in one basket kind of situation. I'll say, so I did a predictions article for Exclaim, and I did put in I think I ended up changing a few actually from what we talked about, and then I did the shorts as well. But I only ended up getting 13 out of 23, so that was pretty bad. I did really well last year too. I remember doing really, really well.
Wow. In our podcast episode, I predicted the whale for hair and makeup, and then on my ballot today, I switched it to Elvis.
Oh, did you?
And that bit me a little bit there. But yeah, I guess my real official one is now 17. Although every prediction ballot I filled out, I got 18. So I don't really know how to look at how I did.
How many prediction ballots are you filling out? What's going on?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Multiple.
Well, if we all did multiple, we would all do pretty well, wouldn't we?
Dakota's like, I just do them like the kids menus they give you at restaurants. I just get a crayon and I fill them in at every meal.
If someone posts a link of, hey, join my, group or whatever, submit a ballot, I'm going to do it. I can't say no. I'm a sucker for these things. So.
But you don't submit the same predictions every single time.
Rachel, they are all the exact same, with the exception of the one that I basically did my personal one of just Stephanie and I facing each other. So there, okay?
How'd Steph do?
Everywhere else, she got 16 out of 23.
Mm.
Yeah.
To be fair, she probably only did one ballot.
Oh, you guys are hilarious. Oh. Todd,
next
the
year,
last time you're on the show.
Yeah, I know. That's why I have to plug my Twitter right now so everyone follows me. You won't hear my voice again. But yeah, no. Next year, Rachel, Dakota's going to come on. It's going to be like, between my 7 ballots, I got all 23 correct.
It's like saying you won the lottery, you like scattered the numbers across a bunch of different cards. You show up to the Lotto Max and be like, look, I won.
It's here somewhere. They're copy and pasted together, like serial killer letters.
Just put them together. You just take an average, split the difference. It's fine.
I hate you both so much right now. I did not start a podcast so I could get roasted on air.
Shouldn't have invited us on. Todd, you and I should just do one of these.
Without Dakota?
So you can make fun
Yeah, we
of
just
me
talk
without
Elvis.
me
We can
being
talk
there?
baseball.
That's
You
just
can throw some
bullying.
basketball in. It'll be good. It'll be fun.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Done.
The other piece of housekeeping is the bonus episode that we put out a few days before the Oscars, where Rachel, you, me, Alex, and Brody decided to have an Oscar draft where we could see who could predict the most wins. And Brody crushed it. The Everything Everywhere, which was his first pick, second pick overall, got him 7 points. He also got points for Top Gun and Black Panther. Alex came in second place with 5 wins. He got 4 for All Quiet and 1 for Women Talking. I came in third place with 4 wins, 2 for The Whale, 1 for Avatar, and 1 for RRR. And then Rachel, you came in last place because you picked Elvis first overall and only got points for Pinocchio and Navalny. So, how do you feel about that?
I mean, there was a risk. I understand if you're gonna put all, like, you know, I had the first pick, and I could have taken Everything Everywhere. I should have stuck with my Asian people. I don't know why I bet against us. I should have done that, but I didn't. I really had a hankering for, like, I was like, Elvis is gonna come away and do really, really well. But then he didn't. Not him. The movie. I'm not gonna blame Elvis Presley for this, because he's been dead for a long time. But yeah, whatever movie Brody gets me to watch. Is it just him, or how does that work?
Yeah, so Brody, as the winner, gets to pick a movie for you to watch, and then at a later time, when you do end up watching that, we'll have the two of you on, and well, obviously you'll be on. We'll have Brody on and do a little segment of Brody getting to gloat.
I can't believe
Brody. I trust Brody to do this. I'm fine with him doing it.
I don't know Brody, but I want to give a big shout out to Brody for smoking y'all in that draft, considering he also drafted Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, which had a 0% chance of winning.
Yeah, it's true.
That was his 5th pick. It was his, I guess, wild card, and blame John from Red Carpet Rosters, who gave him a false sense of optimism that it might win, because that was his all guts, no glory pick.
Yeah, I mean, Brody really won it with 4 dogs in the race. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
To be fair, I think by the time that he picked that last one, I don't think there was anything else that would have been any better, to be honest. Like, I could...
there really wasn't.
Like,
yeah, our
I think anything...
were...
Yeah, I think for all of us, our last picks were crap.
Yeah, it was All the Beauty and the Bloodshed for me. Alex had Triangle of Sadness, which was a solid one to get around for his last pick. Brody had Mrs. Harris, and then your last one was Argentina in 1985. So it was all slim pickings that was left.
Well, Brody, if you're listening, I look forward to your pick of what you're going to make me watch. I do have some faith in him, though. Like, if it was you, I would be like, oh, shit. But Brody, I feel like I have a bit more faith in him. That he's not going to choose, like, some god-awful movie.
I was really worried that I was going to lose, but that it was going to come down to you and I, because we both only had 2 for the longest time. And I was like, man, you all have just been lining up your picks of what you're going to make me watch.
Because you haven't seen RoboCop, and that's weird. It's on TV. It was on. Thank you.
Do you just hate action films from, like, I don't know, not that long ago, the 80s and 90s?
The answer is yes. Yes, he does hate them. Like, genuinely, he does hate them.
What? Why?
It's unbelievable.
My opinion on Die Hard is it's a fine movie.
So wait, I have to get this straight. Dakota, you're like, you know what I'd like to do right now is just crack open a beer, sit in front of my TV, and not watch something cool as hell?
No, he's like, I'm gonna watch, I don't know, some like 1920s Italian impressionist kind of movie. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what he's thinking.
Says the person who actually put 8.5 on her Sight and Sound balance.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Hey,
Justin,
8.5 is a brilliant movie, you guys. Let's not knock 8.5 here.
Rachel hates Fellini.
So then don't try to call me out. So circling back to this drafting, I had a lot of fun doing it. I hope we do it again next year. It was really cool. Did you enjoy the aspect of it, Rachel, or are you waiting to see what your punishment is before you decide whether or not you liked it?
No, it's fun. I think it's really fun to do. even though got the first pick, and I probably didn't choose the one that everyone would have chosen, I like doing the spicy picks. I'm fine with that. I think it's cool to be to make it a little fun. So no, I think it was a lot of fun, and we should do it again. Is there? I guess you can't really go beyond 4, can you? Because it's kind of hard after that.
Yeah, and unless we shorten the picks.
I was gonna say it's kind of awkward talking about this when we didn't ask Todd to do it with us.
No, it's fine. I like this draft. I like listening in, Rachel, because I know that if I ever have draft against you and anything else, if it was draft baseball players, I'm I can rely on Rachel to pick Cody Bellinger 1. No chance she's gonna take a threat.
Oh wow, this podcast. Who is going to even get all the references in this podcast? This one is all over the place. I love it.
We are. That's who's going to get them. We are.
Wow. Do you have any final thoughts on the Oscars or the winners, Todd? The overall experience. What do you have to recap us with?
I got more emotional than I thought I would at 3 or so different times in the ceremony, and including when Michelle Yeoh won. Just when they announced her name, I got really emotional because I was very happy for her because she clearly really wanted it, and it means a lot. And Cate Blanchett was the other actual contender in that group, and Cate Blanchett did not want it, and so it was really nice to see Michelle Yeoh get it. And it's kind of nice to just have an Oscar ceremony where people win things and everybody feels good, and you can, as a viewer, just have those feelings for them and be super pumped when Top Gun wins a sound category, or when Michelle Yeoh, or I don't know who else I'm thinking of, Q Kwan wins, right? It's just really nice to feel good. And so that's kind of where I came away. I was just hey, that was not the worst use of 3.5 hours of my life tonight.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. I got emotional a couple times too. The speeches were really terrific. We already kind of highlighted that they didn't seem to go on forever. They kind of got to the point without having to be played off awkwardly. All in all, it was a very solid performance by the Academy of the way they produced this show, and I'm happy with it. And like I said earlier, it's one of these things that no one is. They're never going to please everyone, and in that case, they often please no one. And in this case, I think they did a pretty good job overall. It was an entertaining several hours of TV, like you said, Todd. I'm really happy with it. And if they keep similar format for next year, where they're hey, we're just gonna keep this on brand, keep it on category, not stray too far and do too ridiculous things, I think people might start returning back to the Oscars and watching them more. I don't care that it's a long ceremony. I care if it's boring and unappealing, and this year it wasn't either of those things.
Yeah. Also, Rachel, when you go back and watch this ceremony, everyone is really hot tonight. I have to also say that everyone looked amazing tonight. All the presenters, the winners, Paul Rogers, the editor for Everything Everywhere, hot. Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield presented together. I was y'all are hot. They had Jonathan Majors and Michael B. Jordan there together.
I saw that. That was nice.
They killed it. Everyone looked great. Pedro Pascal was there while the finale of The Last of Us aired live. That must have been a trip. But, everyone really looked good too, which is a pretty crucial part, I think, of award shows.
Who's the top 3 hottest of the night, Todd?
I think Halle Berry got younger. So it's
didn't even know she was there. That's cool.
She looked great. Majors and Michael B. Jordan both looked excellent. Everyone looked really good. I was watching the red carpet show beforehand, and there wasn't that one thing where it's that person walks in and you're that's what they're wearing tonight. It kind of was a solid.
I gotta say, Florence Pugh is that person for me tonight. And
it did look like she had a duvet around herself.
It did, yeah. It was not great. But yeah, you're right. Everyone did look fantastic. The outfits were all on point. The jewelry and the makeup was glamorous, but wasn't it was gaudy or anything like that. Everyone looked really beautiful.
Yeah,
no one got slapped. No slapping happened.
No. Hugh Grant
lots
came
of
out
jokes
and he
about
was
it from Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, a lot of jokes.
Oh, did he really? He made jokes about that. I kind of thought that was...
Oh, like tons.
Interesting. Okay.
In fact, the whole ceremony ended with them, kind of doing like the camera going backstage as Jimmy Kimmel leaves the stage. And he walks up to like a big board that's, number of days at work without an incident. And he changes it from 0 to 1. And
really?
And then the credits rolled. And I was like, well, they did it.
Wow.
But say your Hugh Grant comment, because that was a weird thing.
Oh, I was just going to say, Hugh Grant was there. Hugh Grant didn't necessarily, he kept making jokes about how he didn't look as good as all the other nominees. But I have to say his red carpet appearance before the Oscars was excellent because he was asked what he was wearing and he just looked down at himself and went, a suit? Like it was a question he'd never been asked before. And I was like, he still got it. I was like, put him in movies. He still has it. I'm good.
Is that what that was about? I did see something on Twitter, people being like, he was being really rude and he was doing all this and that. That's all he said?
I don't know. I don't know if that's what it was about. That they were saying that on Twitter for. Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting.
He did say when he was on stage that he looked like a scrotum. He used those words specifically.
About himself,
Look.
Yes.
Like, you guys remember, like, in Paddington 2, when they go into his house and, like, they show all the old pictures that he has of himself, like, around the house? I always thought that was, like, a really funny gag. Because he was he still is handsome. I don't care what he says. But he was a gorgeous-looking man in his youth.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got on talking about Hugh Grant being really hot in the 90s, but, that's cool.
I haven't seen Paddington 2, so I can't comment on that scene.
You've never seen Paddington 2?
Too much action for him, Rachel.
All right. This seems like a perfect segue to close out this show. That was a lot of fun. I really appreciate Todd, you coming on, even if you.
I really appreciate it too, Todd. I really do.
We have to wrap this up, Rachel. Don't get me going. I'm running out of jokes prepared at his expense.
Good. Everyone, thank you for listening to Rachel's last episode too. She had a good run. You're fired.
Paddington 2 having too much action. That's really funny.
Rachel, you're fired. It's so much time for us to do our super niche baseball, basketball, We Hate Fellini podcast or whatever we agreed the third thing was.
With some 90s action and 80s. Let's put some 80s action in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be great.
Todd, where can people find you? And are you working on anything right now or have anything that you've recently published other than your Oscar article that you were talking about earlier?
You can find me at Todd_complex on Twitter, Letterboxd. Pretty much. Oh, no, that's pretty much it, actually. I don't really use a lot of social media, so those two. And no, I was really cramming for what I had left of the Oscars. And besides that, I don't have anything. I'm sure stuff will come up as we kind of get into a new film year and as like blockbusters begin to be released more and more now that Creed 3 and John Wick 4 are coming out. But yeah, no, I don't have anything imminently on the horizon besides a new baseball podcast.
That we're gonna call We're gonna call it Dolly Zoom Pod. It's gonna be amazing.
Oh.
Ooh.
Wow, the audacity.
I did watch Vertigo in your honor, Dakota. Rewatched it. I rewatched it in your honor, Dakota. You asked me to come on, and I was like, I need to watch Vertigo for Dakota. Still great. Still a banger.
Still a banger. Still a banger.
As Frank Capra would say, Vertigo, still a banger.
This show has gone completely off the rails. Rachel, where can people find you? And have you published anything recently?
Yeah, you go rachelkh.com, and I'm on _rachelkh at... Oh, no, I said that wrong. I'm at _rachelkh on Twitter and Instagram. What have I had new? Oh, I did a review for the Luther movie on Exclaim. And I Like Movies as well, which is a new Canadian movie that came out by Chandler Levac. That's on that shelf. And this is a That Shelf podcast, so that's a nice tie-in there.
That's a great tie-in, and I feel like I should do my outro here. This has been a That Shelf podcast. Visit thatshelf.com for more great film discourse, like Rachel's review of I Like Movies. Follow this show on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at contrazoompod. What did you think of the winners? Send an email to contrazoompod@gmail.com. Thank you to Eric and Kevin Smale for the theme music and to Stephanie Pryor for the logo design. If you like to listen to podcasts on YouTube, we do post all episodes there as well. And if you really like the show, consider tipping us on coffee. Thanks for checking us out.